God bless everybody. Today it's January 12th of 2024. I've got a couple of reports I wanted to bring to your attention, so let's get right into it. The first one is this Kurdish, Turkish problem is accelerating, and it is going to become a problem as we move into the future. I just found this report that 6 Turkish soldiers were killed in an attack on a base in northern Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdish region. So indicates here that 5 of these soldiers died in the assault and another one succumbed to his wounds later. Another 7 soldiers were wounded, 2 of them seriously, when the attackers attempted to infiltrate the base. So this was actually a attack into the base. It wasn't just rockets going into the base, so they were actually boots on the ground, actually trying to get into this base. It said 12 militants were neutralized and that operations were continuing in the area. The wounded troops were hospitalized for treatment. It says this Finnan indicates that we will fight to the end against the PKK terrorist organization within and outside our borders, because this is actually happening in Iraq, around one of those bases that Turkey set up actually inside Iraq itself. They also have these in Syria, and so this is an opportunity for the other side to hit them, not in Turkey itself, but in other countries against Turkey. The clashes follow a similar attack in northern Iraq 3 weeks ago that led to the death of 12 Turkish soldiers. And that's an interesting date that it's showing here, because it indicates the PKK affiliated militants tried to break into the Turkish base in northern Iraq on December 22nd, and that was 10 Tevet. Actually on the calendar in 2023 was December 22nd. I indicated that that might be a problem date, and then we have this potential attack today, and we're working into that potential date of January 15th that I'll show you on the paradigm in a moment. So we had this attack on December 22nd. According to Turkish officials, 6 soldiers died in the ensuing firefight. And then the next day, they had another 6 soldiers killed in clashes with Kurdish militants. So you need to look at Daniel 8. Daniel 8 is in play here. I originally thought Daniel 8 would happen first, but based on how the paradigm is laying out and the last piece that I put together, which was the continual burnt offerings were stopped on April 5th of 2023, I realized that probably Ezekiel 38 and 39 would happen, and then first, and then you go into 2 Kings 24 and 25, and indicates a very specific method of how Turkey would go through this area of the Middle East, and that will be towards Egypt, then towards Iran, and then back towards the Pleasant Land, as it indicates. Indicated that Turkey responded by launching strikes against the sites that officials said were associated with the PKK in Iraq and Syria. Both of these areas are being affected. Defense Minister Guler said that at the time that dozens of Kurdish militants were killed in airstrikes and land assaults. It wasn't immediately clear if Friday's attack and the one 3 weeks earlier were at the same base or not. The PKK, which maintains bases in northern Iraq, has led a decades-long insurgency in Turkey and considered a terrorist organization by Turkey's Western allies, including the U.S. Tens of thousands of people have died since the start of this conflict in 1948. Upwards of 40,000 is indicated in some articles. Turkey and the U.S., however, disagree on the status of the Syrian Kurdish groups, which have been allied with Washington in the fight against the Islamic State group in Syria. And that's, this is a real tough place for the Kurds, because the Kurds have been used by the American government just to basically being thrown away, and now they're having the potential of their whole nation being genocided by Turkey as we move forward. Erdogan also came out today, condemned the U.S. and Britain for trying to turn the Red Sea into the Sea of Blood, since we did approximately 12 attacks on the Houthis. This was our first retaliatory strike really against the Houthis on physical locations in Yemen, and so this is going to probably create a real response from the Houthis. Turkey is also looking at this situation, and he's not happy with it either. And so Erdogan is accusing us of, and the Britain, of turning the Red Sea into the Sea of Blood, as he indicates here. Also indicates Turkey is a NATO member, has strongly criticized Israel for its war in Gaza aimed at wiping out Palestinian militant groups Hamas, and repeatedly slammed Western countries for supporting Israel campaign. Asked by reporters about the overnight air and sea strikes by U.S. and British forces across Yemen in retaliation against Iran-backed Houthi forces for attacks on Red Sea shipping, Turkish president said these are not proportionate. So no matter how many drones they launch at our ships, just the other day they sent like 20 missiles and drones and drone boats at our ships all at one time. We had to do a defensive tactic to remove that threat. And so in Erdogan's opinion, this is all disproportionate to them attacking our ships. Like I say, it's Erdogan's skew on this narrative, and he's going to play it his way and spin it his way. It says all that has been done is a disproportionate use of force, Erdogan said after Friday's prayer in Istanbul. He indicates at the moment they are trying to turn the Red Sea into the Sea of Blood and Yemen with the Houthis, and by using all of its force, says it is and will give the necessary response in the region to the United States and Britain, he added. That's a pretty heavy statement. He says it will give the necessary response in the region to the United States, Britain, he added. So he's threatening basically both of us at this time. And now that we've had an additional attack from the Kurds on the Iraqi border, in Iraq on their base, and killed another few people there. We had that attack about a week ago. This is just getting Turkey more drawn into this conflict all the time, and so you are going to see Turkey invade here soon. He's going to get into this war. I've been talking about this for years now, and now you're at that point. This article goes on to say that Turkey generally supports Yemen's international recognized government and backs the United Nations-led process aimed at bringing back peace between it and the Houthis, who have gained much control over the country. Ankara has previously condemned Houthi missile attacks on Saudi Arabia. It goes on to say that Erdogan said Ankara had heard from various channels that the Houthis were carrying out a very successful defense response against the United States and Britain, while adding that Iran was looking at how it can protect itself against all that is happening. So that sounds like we have all these countries are aligning together. The rhetoric is protecting each other. It's all going against the U.S. and the West and Britain and all these NATO countries that Turkey seems to be a part of, but yet he doesn't like any of us. Then at the end of the article, it indicates the Houthis have attacked shipping lanes at the mouth of the Red Sea, saying this is to support Palestinians against Israel, and Turkey loves that because he wants to protect the Palestinians. Unlike its Western allies in some Arab states, Ankara does not consider Hamas, which controls Gaza and launched a deadly attack on southern Israel on October 7th, a terrorist group. And I want to bring this article to your attention because Erdogan is providing evidence basically to the International Court of Justice through a case brought by South Africa. This just came up, and so they're basically trying to get Israel to be committed for genociding the Palestinian civilians amid a war against Hamas and Gaza. And Erdogan indicates, I believe, that Israel can be victed there. I believe that's possible due to the whole world is turning against Israel at this very point in time, and they cannot stop this war. And they're basically framing this that Israel can just stop at any time. They've done enough harm to the other side, even though they haven't got their people back, and they really don't have a safe border on either side of them at this point or anywhere around them, that they should just stop and this problem will go away and won't manifest itself again, which is just crazy in general. So Turkey's providing this document to the International Court of Justice. He believes they'll convict them, and that is a potential possibility that the world will side against Israel in this case, and it indicates in the Bible that all nations will turn against Israel at the end. And in this last article, the Foreign Minister Katz slams Turkey's Erdogan for genocide after Turkey backs South Africa's ICJ case. He slams them on X, or formerly Twitter, post on Friday afternoon as Turkey backs South Africa's accusation of genocide in the International Court of Justice. This cast posted, the president of Turkey, from a country with the Armenian genocide in its past, now boasts of targeting Israel with unfounded claims. We remember the Armenians, the Kurds. Your history speaks for itself. Israel stands in defense, not destruction, against your barbarian allies. And so this is heating up. It's going to break down. Erdogan's not going to tolerate this much longer. He's going to get ready to go in. We've had that additional attack on their bases. That's going to amplify things. As we move into that January 15 date on the paradigm, I believe all this will matter. And so if you want to go find the paradigm, you can go to endofdaysurvival.com. Go to the, just down the page a little, go to the 4th PDF. You click on that. That will bring you up to the paradigm chart. That brings you to this chart here. We're in this area approximately between April 5th and this April 20th date of 2023 and 2024. We're right smack in the middle of here. If you blow this chart up and you actually go in and look at the chart, you'll notice that some of these dates are actually starting to transpire in front of us. We had that October 9th date, which reflected the attack on Hamas into Israel, and then Israel retaliatory attack back into Gaza approximately around the 9th. We're watching Ezekiel 38 and 39 start to form, and 10 radical nations are getting ready to help Turkey join against Israel. Then you get into this 10 Tevet, which happened on January 15th of 588 BC, which is the original siege of Nebuchadnezzar on Jerusalem. And that I believe that we would see this occur in the future on this very specific date of January 15th. As we're watching all this build up, we would see that Erdogan, which I believe is Gog of Ezekiel 38 and 39, besieged Jerusalem on this very date based on all these verses. You can see this actual event that's coming up in 2 Kings 24, actually 1 and 2, because it actually talks about Turkey and the 4 proxies that will actually create this original invasion into Israel that I believe will be sustained. And I've talked about potentially how we have tunnel systems underneath Israel from Hezbollah side and how that might be a real problem. Turkey could possibly invade about this same time, and it indicates on the paradigm. Now, whether this will happen or not, but it is on the paradigm, so I just always bring it forward to your attention that potentially the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, could be captured on this very date. Now, January 15th is on Monday, and so we need to be watching that date closely. If we see an attack by 15 nations on that country named Israel and Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, we potentially would see a sixth seal event shortly after that, which would then take us into February, a potential rising of an Antichrist in February or March, and then a signing of a treaty with the nations in April, around April 20th or on Hitler's birthday, based on all this information that I've given you. Now, like I said before, when we found this date of the stopping of the continual burnt offerings on April 5th of 2023, that should be huge in the biblical community, but no one's talking about this date. It clearly states in Daniel that once the continual burnt offerings are stopped, that you have 1,290 days and 1,335 days from this very date that you should be concerned about, and that radiates us almost into the position right prior to abomination of desolation on my timeline here, which I show is on Hanukkah, approximately on December 5th of 2026. So keep your eye on all this stuff. We're right now in this slotted period of time. We're moving into the strong generational end of May 14th of 2028, and that all things should happen prior to that strong generation, and that you should be looking at the fall feast of 27 when the Lord would come back. As he indicates, he would fulfill the fall feast when he comes back the second time. And so we need to understand what we're looking at, where we are in the time frame of things, and that we're walking into an event possibly within a few days here, approximately 3 days from today, which will amplify this whole Middle East situation, which is already amplifying on its own. But if you have a potential siege on Israel by multiple proxies approximately around January 15th, this will change the whole dynamic of this war and will inflame the whole region, and this will radiate out to the whole world as we move forward. So God bless everybody. I wanted to bring this information to your attention. You keep an eye on this January 15th date. This is extremely important. And looks to me like it could be playing out. We had that October 9th date sort of play out, and now we're going to see if this January 15th date actually matters to the history of the Jews. So God bless. Be safe out there. Find the open door. Find Jesus. Get your oil in your lamp and get ready. God bless.